LaCroix. LaCroix. Sweet nectar of the gods. Hey, how's it going? Ihor. Wow, Ihor. I don't know if I ever say that right. Sorry. I want to say Ihor? I don't know. Hey, what's going on, everybody? I have this crazy patch on my modular still. Damn. And Diet Pepsi, negative Ghost Rider. I actually don't drink soda. Well, I drink, soda water, whatever. But I haven't had a soda in a really long time. Why does it do this to me? You were right. Okay, cool. So I just played a show the other day on Basement State, and it was super fun. I had a great time. It took me a long time to prepare for it. I was using my Octatrack and my modular, and the nerd sequencer, which was doing the heavy lifting. The Basement State, what's up? Oh, wow. So good to have Basement State here. And I wanted to talk about it a little bit. I'm getting an echo from this stupid, I'm trying to be able to see the chat on my, on my iPad so that I can communicate with people. No, I will not allow access. Join without mic or cam. Yes, this is what we want. Oh, wait. No, it's not. Whatever. I'll keep trying. How do I just mute my iPad? Cancel. Anyway, so I just wanted to go over a little bit of what I did during that performance, and kind of like the workflow of setting up something like that. I'll do like a short little snippet of what it was for those of you who weren't there, just to give you an idea, and then I'm going to take my modular away and take a break from the modular because I spent the last 2 weeks going nuts on this patch. Just 25 minutes of music with one patch. And then I'm going to get my Digitone. It's not actually plugged in right now. And I will replace the beast with this little bugger. And kind of do the same thing I did with this, but with the Digitone. That's kind of the idea. Let me get this dumb thing going. Hold on. There has to be a way. Okay. Oh, that works. Ha! There we go. Oh, no. There we go. Got it. I did it. I'm so proud. Good. Yeah, so let me just show you a little bit of the music super fast, and then we'll start talking about the workflow on how I designed. Look at all these patterns. If you can see that, there's a lot. It's many patterns, and it's very unusual for the style of music that I like to make. Usually I try and do 2 patterns per song. That is the rule. Even 1 pattern is fine. Like Project 32, who played before me, right before me, excellent artist. He just used it was like really just 1 pattern. We were talking about it, and that's something, and I adore that idea. I think it's really fun. But that is not the case for this. This music wasn't 1 pattern kind of music. This was tracker music, and I'll show you why. So I'm going to jump into like a little bit further into the music. We'll start on the 3rd pattern. So I have to align my pattern choice here on the Octatrack. We're using 3 different parts because I'm changing from a flex track on track 6, which I was using track 7 as a recorder, right? I like to do these things where I'll record 4-bar segments, and then I can use one of my scenes and fade over to that segment, just like a DJ would. And then I had this second segment here, which would be, it says C and D, but it's just a remix of the recorder. Anyway, I'll just show you what I mean. All right. So we'll arm a recorder, and we'll start the tune-up. record that again. Okay. So we're on the third track. This is the triptych making that sound so tasty. And then here's the recording. We can fade over the recording. And then if I go like this, that's so, as you can see, you can't tell the difference between live music and the recording. That's the idea, right? It's partly why we Octatrack. How do you get that much variation from one pattern? Very true. Well, we'll talk about that, Yancey. That's a good one. I think a lot of that, I do believe the answer to that question is just mastering your machines. It's just knowing like what little things you can do to make things different. I personally use a lot of like what I call like in modular, I'll use like a macro, and I'll explain that too. But firstly, so I have this version so I can make some changes. Like there's a dramatic change that's about to happen here with that fader. So this fader here is sending a static voltage out to a buffered mult. So essentially, like on an analog 4 or a rhythm, or with the control all knobs in your Digitac or Digitone, or your crossfader in your Octatrack, they control multiple things at the same time. So I'm using a static voltage on my modular, kind of taking the idea from my Elektron boxes and using these mults to turn knobs for me on multiple devices at the same time. Like, you know, it makes the frequency open up on a filter. It'll make the decay longer on my surface so that those notes overlap for longer and creates this like synthy strings kind of feel to it. It's like very thick, very full, and so I use it to build up to a crescendo. But what I was talking about before with these recorder tracks here on the Octatrack is I'm using track 7 to record the 4 bars, and on track 6 you can see the pattern for track 6. It's 16 steps. There's a couple steps missing. And if we look at the slice edit here, we'll zoom out so you can actually see it. So what I would do is I'd hold function, hit slice grid, and I will create 64 slices, align them to 0 crossings. And actually while I'm there, we'll just go ahead and create random locks, right? So here's how I'd use these steps, these random steps from my recording. So over here, this recording here, a mixed up version of it. That sounds good. It sounds good. So I actually use that as like a way to kind of like act as a drum fill. So say I want to go from here to here, which is pattern 3 to pattern 4. So here's what we do. We go, we change to pattern 4. We turn that one on. We go over to this. Here we go. And I use that as a transition. It's kind of cool because it kind of reminds you of the pattern before too. So if we want to record new information, hold track 7, hit yes. So anyone knows, if you want, I did upload this template with this project, which won't be the most useful thing, but if you want to dissect what I did, it is on my Patreon. So feel free to go on there and download it. Do whatever you want with it. I don't care. It's got some decent drum samples. You could at least steal those from me and use them. I don't care. Music volume down a little bit, please. I think we could do that. Turn that down. Yeah, tell me if that's better. Cool. So just remember that when you start like moving through time, moving through different patterns, if they have different tempos, the Octatrack, and when you record new content and you align to 0 crossings in your Octatrack, you have to redo your slices and refine your 0 crossings in your recordings, right? Because your 0 crossings aren't the same for every loop. They're gonna be different. So don't forget that. You'll get pops and clicks. So hey, let's record this. We'll move on to the next part. Okay, I'm glad that's better. Okay, we got a recording. Sounds totally insane. Slice it up. So as soon as I redid my slices, even though there was 64 slices, now it's all perfect. What's a cool idea too is while you're recording your loop, play with your effects. So we go, yes, we record, and I'll just use like... So now I'll go over to my recorded thing, and playback triggers. So there's here. Slice of 54. Oh, I want to turn slicing off. That's right. Okay. So this is my recording, my 4-bar recording. Sometimes I'm just astounded with how quickly I've gotten able to debug my Octatrack, right? Because as I'm changing, I'm doing like some pretty complex stuff here using multiple recording buffers and these like crazy slicing stuff. It's really easy to get lost. Like I get lost all the time, and I do this all the time. This is like basically what I do with all my free time. And just to be able to debug it like just now is like I have to give myself a little pat on the back, because I have lost hours to my Octatrack going through trying to find what the hell, why is my sample not playing, why is this not recording, why is it not doing that. It's like, oh my gosh, you lose your mind doing it. And just to be able to debug, just it feels good with that, because I just had to debug just now and it worked out. Quick question about quantized resampling. How do you go against clicks at the start and the end of the recording loop? I don't have clicks at the start and the end of my loops. That was an issue that I used to have, but I don't. It just never happens. Partly, definitely just like I do put one attack on my track that's playing it. A lucky one, yeah. Hi, Snoopy over the hills. What a wonderful name. It would be nice to have your mic compress the music. It's better now, by the way. Okay. Yes, it would be better to have my mic compress the music and using sidechain, which is something you can do in OBS, but I'm not using OBS. I'm just using screen capture from OBS, the virtual cam, because I use StreamYard, and it sends this out to Twitch and to YouTube, and I lose the ability to do that because I'm not using OBS for my audio. I'd have to run everything into a compressor and actually sidechain it, and I'm not going to do it. But I think that this is working all right. I do have a compressor on my microphone, so it should be cool. The music is kind of like secondary when it comes to like these streams, like so it can be a little bit quieter, and I'll just talk over it. I got it. The answer is not. That is kind of how I answered that question. How to not get pops and clicks? Well, just don't record pops and clicks, you whore. Come on, dude. No, I put a little bit of attack on the beginning of the playback trick. That seems to solve the issue. Yeah, it just doesn't happen anymore. That used to really be an issue for me, was having pops and clicks, but yeah, I don't know. Don't know why it stopped, but it did. Okay, so the red record buttons on the limited edition looks so much better than the all black version I just got. Well, you know what? Send that message to Elektron. Well, I shouldn't say this, but I don't know. Ask them for some red buttons. I don't know. Might work out. Might get some red buttons sent to you. Or you could do what Ivar does and take your Digitone buttons, and that wouldn't look right though. It says record on them. Okay, I was talking about some stuff. I'm gonna get lost again chatting with people, which is nice because I'm home by myself again on Sunday. So, all right. So I just want to talk a little bit about writing this music. And because it gets like really crazy, right? When I move into pattern 5 here. And I use this fader here. That sounds really cool. It's this kind of like overwhelming melodic content that works really good with the sidechain pumping effect here, which is an inverted exponential wave on your LFO using trigless trigs. If you have any questions about that, I could go over it quickly, but here's how it sounds. It's like it invites you to dance. Thanks, man. Andrew, what's up, man? But that, I think, sounds really good. So, like, what's really cool is get that sidechain pumping going, and then arm your record trig, and then we'll record 4 bars of the sidechain pumping. And it, like, this is something I feel like people can listen to for a while. I don't know why. It's okay if this goes on for, like, I don't know, even 16 bars long. We go over to a recorded version, and then we can kind of like jump in and out of the recorded version and this like sliced up version. But first, let's go to track 6, hold function, hit A&D, create 64 slices. Like on the fly remix. And you can time it with your drum rolls. So hold up and hit page, and that's how you activate fill on the Octatrack. So now I have these drum rolls over it. And that sounds a little silly because I'm not being as intentional as I would be during like a live performance. But like so, let me just talk a little bit about how I write some tunes like this and like the setup that I use to get stuff like this going. Because it's a lot easier than it sounds, I think, once you get a workflow for it. By the way, why LFO not filter envelope? Any particular reason? Because it sounds better? Another one of my answers for you, Ihor. It just works better. I've tried every option for the sidechain pumping. Is that what you're talking about, the sidechain pumping effect? It just sounds better, and it works better. It's just way more effective. Originally, I was doing it with the amp volume, right? And that's what everybody would do. That's what you would do with LFO Tool or with Infected Mushroom Gatekeeper, which is dope. If you don't have Gatekeeper, if you're a person who likes to do most of your production on the computer, grab Gatekeeper. I also grabbed recently, talking about VSTs now, that package from Sweetwater that had all the good isotope stuff, like all the Nectar products and stuff. Stutter Edit, Trash 2, some cool stuff. Particularly I wanted Nectar because I wanted some stuff. Now that we have comping in Bitwig, which I talked about last time I streamed, I'm going to get my beautiful, look how gorgeous this is. This is my wonderful custom telly that I love to death. And I have it with my Princeton Reverb 65 edition over here. And I now can do like some pretty good recordings in Bitwig because of comping. So I'm excited about that. That's the best answer. Hey, what's up, Null Void? You have some excellent comments in the Discord. And you're fighting for me to get sponsored by LaCroix, I'm told is how to say it. But I call it LaCroix because I'm a dumb American. Ah, so good. Ah, so good. Buy it. Do you ever use your telly with the OT? You know what I use with the OT? Actually, I use it with the Digitech because I think that sampling on the Digitech sounds better. But I use my Martin acoustic, and I'll just take my Rode NT1A and just record that, and then, my patch bay, I'll just patch it over to the Digitech and sample it right into the Digitech. No fuss on the computer, just straight into the machine. You shill. Like they're ever gonna sponsor me, Matt. Come on. This is hopes and dreams. Hopes and dreams. Wait, what was your nerdy question? But you are moving low pass filter frequency with an LFO, right? So why bother with the LFO if the low pass has its own envelope? I don't know. I don't have an amazing answer for that. I don't want to go and dig into it and rebuild the the effect that works so perfectly. But I suppose you're right. It's a good argument. Maybe I haven't tinkered with it enough. Do it. Then you can rebrand it. You can rebrand it? Okay. Okay, so I was like, let me talk about this tracker. Okay, I did. Okay. Yeah, the sidechain thief. The sidechain thief. Okay, so kind of like what I was doing here, right? This is the setup for this. I'll talk about it before I cast the modular off and just dig into the Digitone, because I've been wanting to play with my Digitone a lot more. I play with it at work a lot because we have one on display, and I just walk over and play with it all the time because it sounds great. What I'm doing with the tracker is I have these spaces between. If you were to fill up these gaps, I know you can't see super well, but you can see well enough, I think, that you can see that there's gaps between these groups of tracks or groups of patterns. And if you leave a gap there, it just cycles over and over again. So kind of like you do on your, Elektron boxes, I just have patterns and they're cycling over and over again until I decide to move on to the next thing. So I'm not using this like a song mode. And the Octatrack has a similar effect, right? You can go into your arranger and set up a song mode, which I never use, even though the arranger is cool. So what I'm doing is I'm having to use my Octatricks as much as possible, doing saving 4-bar loops and using stuff like this repeating like Daft Punk effect, and then I have the opportunity to move to the next pattern during that effect. Actually, I'm going to stay on for this one. So while this is doing this, I had time to come over here, choose the next row of patterns, and then I could go over and get back into the music. And that's how it kind of like gives the effect of intentionality, or that you know what you're doing. So the way that these patterns are being written is, or the way I'm doing this setup is that this is voices. Think of this as your Digitone. Think of this as your analog 4 or whatever. And I have some analog voices happening here. I have some digital voices, and they all kind of have their own timbre. And I have things set up in a way that I can play with it as if I was playing with like an analog 4. That's the workflow here would be like working with a Mark II device in the Elektron world, using the NerdSec. I basically just built a custom Elektron box-ish, Mark II-ish box, where you don't have your pattern mutes that I'm so used to having that you have on like the Digitone and the Digitac, which are so convenient. And I always talk about them when I compare the Elektron boxes, because pattern mutes are a game changer for live performance. So writing these patterns, I'm going here, like in this very beginning one, I have 3 patterns playing. We'll go here and we'll say this, right? So I have a bass line going, and I have this little percussive synth, which is the Fracture by WMD. And I have my drums here on the Octatrack. And the reason I have the drums here and not here is because I want to have access to low pass and high pass filters on percussion only. I want to have access to drum fills, which is something that's really important. I want to have access to doing the sidechain pumping effect on the melodic stuff. And if I had the drums over here and ran it all into the Octatrack, I would need some way of splitting the drums into 2 different paths and then running them into 2 different paths, which is not out of the question, but it was out of the question in my setup. I was out of space to do something like that in terms of adding a module that would give me that kind of configuration with splitting the audio. Would have been a real pain in the ass. So I went with this setup, and it worked. I think it worked. And I rebuilt these effects. Some of the effects are a little bit different. The tape stop effect doesn't sound the same as the original one. It's like way more lo-fi and slow. But still cool. Do you have a cool way of turning looping into a build-up with the OT, increasing tempo, hype? Increasing the tempo. I mean, you can do that. What I kind of do with building the hype up with stuff is using effects like the sidechain pumping effect, or like having something in post, like a distortion or a reverb that you can start like bringing in, or bring things down so that when you bring things back up, your normal level is the hype. But really with this setup, the hype was this. It's just this little macro that I designed here. So like on another pattern, like this one here, this is the hype builder. Here it goes, and the drum fills. I mean, we're at the epitome of the hype right now. I don't do a lot of recording. I'm still trying to sort it through billions of loops to put into my octet, but I got it when I saw the interview with Nine Inch Nails. Oh, I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about there. I didn't maybe see that interview. Okay, so here's how I'm building tracks. I'm going to go over it quickly, and maybe it helps you design music for yourself. Because I had, like, this very last pattern, the last section of the music is these 6 patterns, and it starts here. Get those finger guns. I wrote that right before I played the set. So I went through and I made this whole thing like an hour before the show last night. It was last night, right? No, it was Friday. I'm stupid. Before Friday. And I'll show you how complex it is, right? So I'll play through it really fast. There's no drum fills on it, it's just kicks. You can see all the tracks are active, all of these tracks are active. So really it's just using these effects. I'll use so this low passes the drums and it leaves whatever external audio clean. And then I can move on. Maybe I'll go to the next pattern here and I'll take the kick out, bring it back in. Now we're in the next part of the pattern. So what I did was I wrote a bass line, and using the surface that has multiple models in it, you can have you can send a voltage over to the surface. So in the nerd sequencer, go into the pattern, you dingo. In the nerd sequencer, using the mod lane, which is like in any tracker, it has mod and FX lanes. I don't know if they all have mod lanes, but they all have FX lanes. The NerdSec has a mod lane as well. And so you use the mod output, and I sent a static voltage of what the number increment is 500, I don't know what the actual voltage is, over to the surface, and I moved the model to a new sound. So that when I went to a new pattern, I actually had a whole new synthesizer engine playing. Using the same module. And that's a really cool trick that you can do with static voltages in your modular synths. You could do it with a crossfader. You could just move the crossfader up a little bit and be like, okay, I hear that it's in the new model that I like. That's good. Or you can do it by hand. But having it done in your sequencer for you is perfect because you can have it do exactly what you want. So you can do that with other stuff, like Platts is a really good example of a module to do that with because it has so many different synth engines in it, and they all sound great, and everybody has one. So if you have modular, you probably have a Platts. Maybe you have 2 Platts. Okay, so what I was doing here is I wrote a bass line, and the bass line's the Doepfer mini synth voice, which is a very fragile and wonderful sounding synth, but that the tune knob is like very careful with it. If you knock your modular too hard, like it will detune it, or it can. Oh, this looks tight. Thank you. Okay, good. Modular grid is a good starting point. Yes. Yes, it is. Modular grid is not just a good starting point. Modular grid is a good point in general. Hang out on modular grid. Just like I go on there all the time to rebuild and create new versions of my rack. It's just fun. But Knobs told me it doesn't have to be expensive. Knobs is lying to you. That's not true. Okay, so like I'll make like a bass pattern. So I have this like I was trying to make some like darker sounds because this whole set was super poppy. It was like to me it was like being a kid at the arcade. I named everything off of ideas like that. I wanted to end it on like a darker note because I really like this style of music too. So I wrote a bass line that sounded very minor. It's in a minor key, and it's basically just arpeggiating a minor chord. And then the next pattern, I add another element and I add a few notes to the arpeggiation. So we have another variation, and that equals also I bring in a new drum element. So it's like it's fairly simple. I'm literally duplicating the pattern from before, moving it to the next section, doing the same thing here, adding some elements and changing some elements. I go to the third one, now we're in the third pattern. I do the same thing again, except for I add another element and I change a little bit from the previous elements. Another cool thing is that the Nerd Stack also does envelopes, right? So now we have a new envelope on the Instro TSL and the Stouffer ladder filter, and the envelope has got a long attack, so we get this like, you heard it, it'll come back around again. It's coming back around again. That right there, that kind of sounds like a little bit like a theremin, someone said, and I didn't really think of that until now, but it does. Sound a bit theremin-y. And so using that long attack, it created a whole nother vibe to it, and I have a little LFO going on the pitch, just the right amount of LFO so it doesn't sound insane. And now I do it again, right? I take that, I copy it, I move it down to this next row. Now we're on pattern 4. I bring in my snares, and along with my snares, I bring in my snare rolls. And now we can start playing with stuff. I don't know why that cracks me up so much. What's cool is using your scenes here, I create a high pass on the drums, and it has a little bit of reverb on it too. So but it's just the drums, leaving this dry. And then here's the low pass, leaving this dry. Here's all of it. And that kind of stuff just allows you to perform forever. Another cool thing to remember is like just take your kicks out. Take the kick out, bring the kick back in. If you're gonna make music that's like dance music, people are relying on that kick to move them, but they also need some relief. You gotta let people stop moving for a second because it's exhausting. All right, so then I copied the pattern again, and now we're down here to the last section. This is the end of the set that I played, so we'll skip over to this pattern. That is, so now everything's getting a little more complex. I've added some open hats to my hi-hats, and my drums are a little bit more complex. I added some ghost notes to the drums. Ghost notes are just basically lower velocity notes so that they kind of like are, I don't want to explain what ghost notes are, but that's how you do a ghost note, just reduce the velocity on some of your snares. Oh, what up, Alex? Damn you, Knobs. Yeah. I prefer to be a wizard than a programmer. Programmer. Nice. So that's the idea. That's the idea of like writing. That's how I write on the Elektron boxes sometimes if I'm using like the Mark II devices. If I'm on the Digitone, though, and I'm using it as my main source, which is my typical way of doing things because I love the Digitone. It is my absolute favorite. I'm not going to write like that. I'm not going to make copies and copies and copies and copies of patterns and move and try and move through them like that because I don't like doing it. It's not my preferred method. This I had to do for this music. I had decided we're going to write something using the modular. I want it to sound this certain way, which was super melodic. For me, if I lean into the stuff that I'm good at, which is like really melodic content, that's the stuff that I feel like I just naturally make, if you know what I mean. I leaned into it for this set and it produced, the music that you heard. But like to talk about trackers a little bit more, trackers let you do some cool stuff, or just the way that it's laid out, like that sheet music layout kind of, it's different. Like with the Elektron stuff, you're a little bit more tedious about your programming per note. Whereas on a tracker, you might just open up a pattern and be like, note here, note here, note here, note here. And there's like 64 of them and you're just going note, 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 note. You don't care where it is. You're just throwing notes down and seeing how it sounds. And then you go in and kind of edit it as you go. On here, you're like 16 steps. You're looking at them all the time. It's repeating. You're changing them. You're tinkering with the filters and you're tinkering with your LFO and the slides and all that kind of cool stuff. And you do that all kind of in post a little bit on a tracker. But what's cool about doing stuff like this on trackers is that you can actually take a pattern that you like the melodic content of, copy it, then throw it over to another section, and that's going to go out to a different synth voice, or depending on where you're doing your tracking. For me, it's on this box here on the NerdSeek, and I'll send it to a different voice, and then I'll go into the transpose, and I'll transpose it up like a fifth or a third, and then you have you can do some chorusing effects or like some call and return kind of feelings. That is really powerful composition tool, and I think that's kind of where trackers shine, is that immediacy of making stuff like that, just immediately transposing stuff. You can do some transpose stuff on the Analog 4 too, which is really cool. Because I've said it before, Elektron boxes are trackers. They're just horizontal trackers. The live set from Friday was amazing. Thank you very much. What do you think about other hardware trackers, Polyend or Mate? I have a Polyend tracker, and I like it. I don't intend on... It's in the box on a shelf right now. But so is the Analog 4, and so is a Rhythm, and a bunch of modulars, so take it with a grain of salt. But I don't use it as much. It has a lot of the bugs taken out of it. The workflow on it versus the workflow on the Elektron boxes or even on the NerdSec is slower, in my opinion. And I am a person who likes things to be immediate. I don't know. I'm a person of convenience. I'll spend extra money for convenience. I'll spend a lot of extra money for convenience. Who am I kidding? Like, it's almost a joke. Like, I'm a joke. I'm a convenience joke. I'm a convenience store. So, yeah, I like it. It's really cool. I think it still has some work to do, and 1.4 beta is out. I don't think they have updated the beta yet, and I have it on my tracker, and I have played on it, and it is better, for sure. Mate, I have one on pre-order. I am anxiously waiting for the Mate to come. I think it's going to be amazing. It's got a built-in battery, and it can fit in your pocket. I've heard it. It has the Platts sound engine in it. It has an FM synth engine. It has stereo sampling, or at least stereo sample playback, I believe, and a built-in DJ filter that you can use with a touchscreen. It's freaking awesome. It's gonna be super sick. It looks way faster than the tracker, in my opinion, or the Polyend tracker. He was showing me Polyend is dope. I'm not a tracker fan. A lot of people are not tracker fans. That's true. That's just it's an old way of making music. Super tempted by the Deluge for some of these reasons. Let me tell you about the Deluge. I've had a Deluge for years. I don't have it anymore. I sold it to Messy Desk Dan, who promptly sold it. I kind of regret selling it. So I wish I still had my Deluge. That's how I feel about the Deluge. That is a beautiful, beautiful machine. I think the synth engines sound not great. And I feel like there's aliasing in the sample playback. I'll probably get told that I'm wrong, but it sounds a little hollow sometimes, but the sequencer on it and just like how quickly I got at it, the shortcuts and stuff, the shift and the button presses is really fun and really simple. So I really like the Deluge. I think everybody should have a Deluge if you can afford to buy one. They're great. I will get one again. I got a Norns out of the Deluge selling. I never use my Norns. That's a me problem that I need to solve, and I will, but not today. That's the problem. Tracker by Trash 80. That thing is wild. Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. That thing is wild, and I do like trackers. I like riding on trackers. It's like it speaks to me. It's totally how. I mean, this whole performance, 25 minutes of tracker music, and it sounds like tracker music. Listen to this. Listen to this tracker tune right here. I think this might be my. Let me find my favorite pattern. Okay, yeah, here it is. So where are we? Bank 1, pattern, what, 9? Oh my god. This is probably my favorite part of the whole performance right here, and it's so short-lived. That triptych. Sounds like an electric guitar, like a funk guitar. That's actually the Octatrack doing. This is the Prophet 5 over here. Yeah, Prophet 5 sounds good. That's the Prophet 5 as well. I have keyboards everywhere, right? You can walk over here and play the Prophet. This is how much I love the Prophet 5, let me tell you. I can walk over to my Prophet 5, play the Prophet 5. Down below me, I have a Keystep 37 connected to the Prophet 5. At my computer, you can pull this out. Connected to the Prophet 5. Well, they're all connected to anything I want it to be, but right now they're all set up on the Prophet 5 because I literally want to be able to play it everywhere I go. Octamed. Oh yeah, cool. If you had to start all over and only had an Octatrack, what would you buy to feed it? Deluge, another Elektron box, or $1,000 of modular? Not $1,000 of modular. $5,000 of modular. That's what I would feed it. Not $1,000, no. You're not going to get anything. You're not going to get enough. A Deluge, I would definitely not feed it the Deluge. The Deluge, you feed the Deluge. That's how I feel about the Deluge. Another Elektron box is the answer to that question, yes. Of those three, I would feed it another Elektron box. If I was forced to have the Octatrack and only one other box, I'd probably get a Rhythm. I'd probably use a Rhythm or an Analog 4. But honestly, if I had only one box to pick, I would get a Digitac. That's what I would pick. If someone's like, you only get one box, I'm going to use a Digitac. I think the Digitac is the Digitac and the Octatrack are, to me, like the epitome of awesome samplers. And then the Rhythm after that. That's, I might get I might get flamed for that. But it's just, the workflow on them is just so fast. Behringer system is a 100 clone, is like $1,000. I don't know, I don't buy Behringer stuff. Not a big fan. But I do know that it does sound good. So, there you go. Digitac is so swag. Yes, it is. Ben, I know that you love the Digitac since I sold it to you myself. I'm proud of that moment. Selling a young man his first sampler. We all have opinions. They are not all equally valid. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah. Just talking about the tracker setup here, like I was saying before, copying and pasting patterns. The ability to copy and paste and transpose on your tracker is faster, surprisingly faster for me. You have to use two hands to like really run this thing well. And I don't know how to use it like Thomas, I don't know how he says his name, from XOR Electronics or Zor Electronics, however you want to call it. because there's a lot of features in here I don't know how to do, or when I do use them, they don't work how I think they're supposed to work, or how I thought. Obviously, they're working how they're supposed to. I'm the one who doesn't know how they're supposed to work. But they're not. I can't figure out why some things work the way they work. And the manual is like a zillion. The manual is like the Octatrack manual. It's like a zillion pages long, and reading it, yeah, you're gonna get better at it, but like, it's better if someone could maybe like demonstrate what's going on. Just reading the manual for the Octatrack, you're like, yeah, I read the manual, and then you go to show somebody what you're, and you're like, I don't know. I don't know what I did. I've read it, but I still don't know. I feel like that's not how I feel about the Octatrack any longer, but it took a long time to get to that stage. Who knows more than us plebeians? Oh, you get your Digitech today? That's awesome. Congratulations. So like before I excuse the modular and start tinkering with the Digitone, I just want to talk about some stuff that I think is really important for people to have in their modular systems. I work at a modular synth shop, and although I'm not out on the floor much anymore because I do video content, I do have experience talking to people about their modular synths and stuff they should get, and I have an opinion, and my opinion is maybe valuable, maybe. Things I think you should have in your system: buffered mults, unbuffered mults, summing mixers. Small summing mixers are great. Summing mixers are really powerful. You can use them to make new sounds, or you can use them just to sum your audio together. Summing CV is cool, and summing your audio is great, and that's usually what I'm using it for. Attenuators that have attenuverters that have the ability to do static voltages, really powerful. This is a switch. This is an analog switch. Get a switch. Keep that in your system. It'll make it so that you can change one patch into another entirely. And then a sample and hold and some sort of slew. Like, slew is a really powerful thing to use. This is what slew sounds like. Yeah, so a maths. But I'm not going to tell people to get maths, because I don't have a maths in my system. But yeah, you're right. You're on it, dude. Null void. It's got some good commentary. Pip slope, yeah. Or function. Pip slope's great. That's like a little mini ALM maths. That's a good pick. There's some good stuff by WMD. There's some good stuff by After Later Audio. They have some like math. They have a lot of function stuff now they've come out with, and it's good stuff and very affordable and local here in Seattle. So check them out. All right, let me play a little bit before I unplug the modular. Let me play a little bit of like starting from here. Maybe you'll enjoy the music a bit. I think it starts from pattern 7. And let's use a little of that slew. Gets that like acid slide thing going. We'll just use a little slew. Okay, so my switch, when I engage my switch, what it does is it's like there's the Maestro here is sending an LFO to my performance mixer that's telling this fracture, which you can trigger with your finger. So when this clock is running for the Maestro, it's actually changing the models on the fracture. I like multi-model kind of stuff, as you can tell, because I can get the most territory covered with one module. So I can have a system be smaller and it fits under the camera. That's partly why, but also because it's convenient. So I have the LFO changing the model. So it's like this random. If I mute this, I'll mute the drums too. Hear it just like panning around these like click, clack, clack, clack. It's kind of silly. But when I hit the switch, it just stays on one model, right? When I bring this fader up, it brings up the reverb. pattern. You tell me how much it sucks. Just kidding. Copy. I'll just, you know what, I'll narrate what I'm doing. Alright, I'm going to record a copy of the pattern. I have slice off on track 7. Right. Here's that copy. So now I can actually move over here. Move on to this pattern, pattern 8 here. Now we're actually on pattern 8, but it still sounds like pattern 7. I could bring up, like, change the baseline a little bit by bringing up the envelope on the filter of the baseline. And now let's go over. We're at the end of 8th bar here. Cool. So now we have a analog oscillator by TSL running into a ladder filter, which is the Moog filter. And where it's, you know, emulating a Moog filter, similar kind of filter. And that's getting sent into the mimeophone. And I added some hi-hats over here on track 4. There's a whole bunch of drum samples in here. It's just tons of drum samples. And I'm using quite a few of those hats. So the point is, like, you gotta let this pattern play on for a little while because it's got enough going on with it that I think that it's a good place to, like, let people chill. This is like a spot, if you were playing a club, I would say, like, this would be a spot where people have just went and refilled their waters and or whatever they're drinking, and they're like, okay, I'm gonna go out for a smoke or whatever people are doing, and then come back in, and this pattern would be playing, and maybe they're moving out back onto the floor. This is what I'm thinking when I'm writing music. And then we'd go over to this next pattern. This is where I think, like, let's pick up the phone again. Let's enjoy ourselves again. So low pass filter, drum fill. And then we're back and having fun. A lot of melodic content coming in. What's happening here? Let's turn off all these drums. So this is my Prophet 5 sample of a C minor 6 chord, I think. And it's this great patch where the filter kind of, like, I'll show you the filter. It's just, it's such a beautiful patch. It's an, oh, never mind, it's an A sharp minor 7. And it's, so that is just being played over and over again, but it's different start positions of that sample. So it's like, that's happening all across it, but because it's just catching it for those momentary, for a moment. That on top of this, like, kind of guitarish sounding with the triptych and the low quality Triceratops going into carbons. There's a lot of, like, wave-folding, distortion, complex oscillator sound, which sounds really cool. But when you add drums to it, it's super dancey, like funky dance. Like I said, this is probably my favorite part. So now I'm going to use one of the mod outs to change the length of the decay and bring in, like, a sharper sound from the surface in this next pattern. So here, I'll just transition here. It's supposed to be this pattern here. So that's my modular, samples of the Prophet 5, drums on the Octatrack. HV Manny, what's up? God, good damn rabbit hole. Yes. I mean, I love to dance too, so I love making dance music, and I do love to dance. Gotta go. Cheers. Thanks. Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad that you guys are hanging out here with me on this lazy Sunday afternoon. I actually have to make some tutorial videos this week. That's the plan. That's the plan. Okay. Sounding dope. Thanks, Peter. Okay. pattern here. Yeah, like this. The slew on the bass line. I wish I had done that during the performance because that sounds really cool. Oh, thank you. I love that you love those tutorials. I love to teach. I enjoy it very much. I used to be a music counselor in drug and alcohol rehabilitation, so that was really fun for me too. All right, let's go to the next pattern, but first, let's get over to it. Those snare rolls, you just tap it, you know, like you can add some re-triggers on a couple of them. That's how you get that like ratchet. It's very lemon jelly. Thanks, Alex. I probably owe you $5. I mean, I have been streaming pretty regularly-ish. Probably about once a week. I don't like to stream and not have anything to talk about, you know? Chris did an excellent job on his last Patchworks video with yours truly, where he talked about the Daisy patch. Go check it out on Patchworks' YouTube channel. It's a really great job. I'm actually doing this on Twitch and YouTube right now, Alex. Using StreamYard and sent it to multiple platforms. So 2 birds. And I'm always down to kill more birds with stones. Just joined the stream. Are you sending scene changes to the NerdSec via the OT? I want to try this with Digitone and the Renee too. You can do this with the Digitone and the Renee, kinda. You can't really do what I'm doing without an Octatrack. Octatrack is a utility device. It can do so much. The Digitone doesn't have the ability to do the live sampling. But no, to answer the first part of your question, Calderwood, I am not using scenes to send any information to the NerdSec. I am just sending tempo and transport to the NerdSec, and that's it. So it's perfectly synced. It's probably the best sync I have found yet to sync my modular and anything in any other device. It's got the best clock that I've found in any other sequencer I have. I used to use like a CV OCD, but the thing does it, like it can stutter a bit, or it just the timing gets off. Every time I hit this, it's perfect. Just works every time. Live sampling or bust. That's what I'm talking about. Digital Delusionman, loving this jam. Thank you. Let's hear some more of it. Okay. So what happened here too, which is kind of cool, is that like so the bass line changed. I'm sorry. This doesn't make any sense to you because you have to hear it before. So we're here. So the bass line and this triptych sound, the distorted guitar sound, they're doing the same notes, except for like some minor changes that I made just to make things sound a little more chordal at moments. But then, so you let this build up, and when you change your bass line to stop being a repetitive cascade of notes like this to something that has the feeling of a 4-bar chord change, like something you would hear in more like some EDM or like a band would do. When I move down to this pattern, my bass line is going to stop going from just being like 8 notes that are like in a cool rhythmic pattern to it being a consistent sounding bass line. So that's the original bass line. Sounds like a nice little poppy techno bass line, and then it's going to turn into this. But everything else is going to stay the same. And this is just a powerful effect to go from there to here. And let me show you why it's so powerful. So here's that first bass line, just repeating over and over. It sounds fun, but when I move to the next one, the bass line changes. It's going to carry the song with just the bass line. Really powerful effect when you're writing music. I didn't have to do much other than change the bass line to doing some pretty straight notes. And I can build it up opening the filter, opening the decay on those plugs. By having the drums on the Octatrack and some melodic content, which is what I really get, a really good move. These chords are playing over the pumping effect. So they're not being pumped. It sounds really nice, and it it just sounds really good. It would be cool if it was like an arpeggiation that was going over it too. I can still do my snare rolls over it. So I could just turn up the LFO here. Sorry, the LFO here. So now the sidechain pumping stays, and now I can play with these scenes. Rave time. Pattern 1. requires way more thinking than I want it to do this. Like, it's so much easier with another Elektron box versus with your modular, but you can't make these sounds. You just can't. You have to have a modular synth if you want to make sounds like this. Let's keep going. This makes lasers. Kind of unfortunate, actually. Now we can make a copy of this. So you could really jam on one pattern for quite some time. So we'll make a copy once it goes around. No. Okay, there we go. We're not even using anything on track 6. We won't do anything with it. But this is how I ended it. Which was a cool ending to it, I thought. Okay. How do I feel about semi-modular synths, ARP 2600 or Dreadbox Typhoon or Behringer Neutron? Dreadbox Typhoon's sick. It's pretty cool. It's a nice build too. Build quality is important to me. ARP 2600, yeah, it's a solid one. It's a hard synth, and I mean that in a way like you have to be careful with it to get like clean sounds because it can get really gnarly. Dreadbox Typhoon's probably a lot easier. It has MIDI stuff that's a little easier to use. Built-in effects, I believe. I haven't gotten to use one much. Awesome entry trugs, yeah. Pittsburgh Modular SV1 Mother 32. Yes, those are great devices as well. Modular synths are awesome. Semi-modular are awesome. Yeah, absolutely. Nothing wrong with any of that. SH101, I see someone, Synth Division. Yes, the SH101 is awesome. I did an emulation of the SH101 in Bitwig in the grid, and it took me a long time. And it's fairly accurate in the sound, I think, and super cool. Hi, Timbre. Yes, SH101 was super cool. Love that. Mobile disco style. Yeah. Okay. All right. What are we talking about now? I feel like I've done enough with this modular. I'm ready. I'm done. I'm done with you. So, like, I want to talk about some other essential items that you need in your system. One is a key step. Get a key step. I have two key steps here. So I have this key step that's running into a MIDI Solutions MIDI merger so that I can use this. So that's playing my Surface right now, which is cool, but so is the NerdSec. So this is merged with the clock and the MIDI input from here. So this I can program melodic content using my key step with my NerdSec. So both these devices are really useful. This and a quadra through, I highly recommend. If you don't own these things, a merger, a quadra through, and a key step, you should get one because it's going to open up your world give you more options to work with more devices at the same time and be able to use devices in a more convenient way. All right, so we're gonna take, this thing's always in my videos. The reason why it's always in the videos is because I found it in Italy and I got it for Sephra, who's my partner. And I got it from a garage sale in, where was I? In Chianti, however you're supposed to say it. But anyway, I got it in Chianti, Italy, and it's cool. But I really like it under the camera because with the green and the red that it has, it's just a really nice contrast. And I like color grading video. That's why it's always there. It's literally there for the red. All right, so let's unplug this. Let's plug this. And then let's actually take our MIDI from the nerd sec. We'll just take this and we'll bring it right into the MIDI input on our Digitone. Because we'll just continue having this be, oh, we're already making music, okay. All right, let's move this. SM57. Sterling audio, some condenser mic, I don't know what that is. That's the stuff hiding behind your modular. Okay. I don't want to undo the patch because I maybe want to record this, I don't know. But let's move this into the camera's view better. Let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit. Crisp. Okay. Okay, so it's mixed with these two clocks. I don't want this to sing clock. Let's go to MIDI. Anyway, I'm actually going to use that because I do most of my programming on here. This actually has a nice sound to it. So my idea was, I'll move this out of the way. With the Digitone, was first I was like, oh, I could use it like I used the Digitac with just 8 tracks going into the Octatrack, Octatrack being the external remixer. And it's just not going to work. It's just not going to work. I think I have to use this the same way that I just used the modular. So I can actually use the pattern mutes with the melodic content, which is really cool. Even though I think the drum mutes is the most powerful way to do it. Let me turn this so you can actually see. CBS just joining. All right, let me read a little bit of chat. Digitone is incredible. It's my favorite. Yes, that's excellent. It is awesome. Digitone SB, my next look. Keys version, maybe. Oh, I'm so glad you said that. Get the Digitone keys. I wish I had a Digitone keys. They're really cool. You still don't enjoy looping the Octatrack, Rustic? I don't know why you don't enjoy that. I think once you have it set up, a way that is familiar to you, it's so great. I would not. Hi, ZBS. Hello. Okay, key step 37. Den, I don't know what your name is. 2030. I don't know what that is. Anyway, whatever you said. Key step 37. Yes, that's what I have down below here. It's amazing. It's so nice having that chord and the strum feature. It's just like for creating samples really fast. I did study music theory in school, and that does not mean that I can make chords really fast on the keyboard, because I can't. I'm a guitar player. I'm not a keys player. So I can probably noodle faster, like just because I'm decently quick on my guitar. Then I can't actually making chords, because my brain is like, oh, what's the second inversion of this chord? Is this what am I playing right now? Am I playing a ninth or a seventh? Anyway, So I get lost in there. This thing makes it really easy, the Keystep 37. Highly recommend it. I also made a tutorial on the Keystep 37 that is very in-depth. And I did it without even having a manual. I did it before the manual was even released, because I did it for the release. And you can find that on the Patchworks YouTube. Really happy using flex tracks to loop through tracks. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's exactly what we're doing here right now. So this is that same pattern from the last one. Let's start a new project. We'll do it all from scratch so you guys get a nice little tutorial. Project, change. Yes, go ahead and stop it. Create empty project. Call it DN. DNOT. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set up my ability to live resample, and I'm going to set up a through machine. We'll just get that right out of the way so that we can start having fun. All right, turn the track levels all the way to 127 for your incoming audio. Double press source, select your through track, place down a playback trig. Now your through track is functioning. Got to choose your source. We're using inputs A and B. Cool, inputs A and B selected. That's the stereo version. If there was a plus there, it would be 2 monos. Turn it up to plus 63. Let me tell you why to turn it up to plus 63. So the Octatrack's internal engine, its DSP, takes audio down 12 decibels, right? So as audio comes into it, it's going down 12 decibels. So what we're hearing before, when I have this at 0, we're hearing this, it's much quieter than it was before, obviously, because the other one was at plus 63. But it's actually, we're not actually hearing it at its true volume. It is louder than this. The Octatrack is turning it down. So if we turn it to plus 63, it actually brings the audio up to its true level, which it should be a lot louder because the Digitone's almost turned all the way up. So it should make sense that way. Right. I can't turn it off because I don't have that set up yet. Function, let's go to MIDI. We want, if you hold function and hit the MIDI button here, it opens up a shortcut to the MIDI settings. Yes to transport, yes to clock. Sure, let's do it that way. Okay, now I can actually start and stop my Digitone. We can hear the Digitone. Now let's do some other stuff. Let's turn track 8 into a master track, shall we? That way we can do a global stutter effect. We can do things like the Daft Punk effect. We can do things like having a high-pass, low-pass filter that just includes every single track. So go to project, go down to control, audio, select master, yes. Cool. That's probably all I really need to do because all my other global settings should be set. But 24-bit mode is perfectly fine sounding. Yes, it is. Yeah. I'm not even doing it. This isn't even in 24-bit mode, I don't think. I'm pretty sure that it's let's check this setting here. Yes, I do like that. Yes. Nothing to go there. We'll turn on 24-bit just for fun. Sure, dynamic, why not? Yeah, I don't care. Okay. All right, so I'm going to turn the track volume on track 8, the level all the way up, because I want it to be exactly how it's supposed to sound. Let's leave everything alone here. Let's go ahead and give this a neighbor track, because you know what? Wait, we want... So we could sacrifice one of the tracks on the Digitone to be a drum track. What drum, though? Not the kick. Kick has to be here. If the kick has to be here... Yeah, the kick's going to be here. Where do I want the kick? Do I want 3 neighbor tracks? No. No. All right, we'll do what we did last time. We'll put the kick there. All right, let's finish doing the resample setup. Okay, so track 7, double press source. Go ahead, select a flex track. And we're going to leave slice off. This is important. Leave that off. However you want to do your rate, do it however you want. I'm going to leave it on time stretch. Actually, no, we'll put it over here so we can do the 1/5 down effect. Sounds nice when you use the rate. And let's turn up the track level to 127 so it doesn't attenuate any volumes. And let's put down a... Now we'll put the playback trig down later. Let's put down the record trig. So hold function, hit record 1, put down a trigger. Actually, before we do this, let's make this per track scaling. So go over here to your scale mode, select per track. Now I can hold function, hit page 1, 2, 3, make this 64 steps long, press the right arrow, hold function and turn this, and it will move it by 16 steps at a time. So now the master is selected, we're at 64 steps. Now hold function, hit record, go over here, put down a record trig, hold function, hit that trig, turn it into a one-shot record trig. I want one-shot record trigs, I want quantized looping. It's gotta be quantized, right? So now let's go in here, back into our record setup and change the record length to 64 steps. You can have it be whatever you want, except for if you have it on length max, it will record forever. And we have dynamic recorders, so it will try and record as long as it possibly can. So leave it at 64 steps. Let's go back over here. Let's notice, what does it loop? Okay, we want it to record source 3, which we're going to set to track 8, which is our master track. So let's turn off that it listens to any other inputs. Just listens to source 3 on track 8. So you can do that just by doing this. Kind of cool, right? It's great. Okay. So now we want to create a scene that just listens to this recording track and mutes everything else. So I'm going to use this scene here because it's called all and it makes sense to me. I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to lock the volume at 0. This is the way I like to do it. And then I'm going to turn the volume all the way down on this track so that it only becomes audible when I move the crossfader over. Then I'm going to hold this down. I'm going to go to this track and say X level minimum, 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 X level minimum. And that's it. So now, I believe, oh, whoops, one important step. Select the recording buffer you want to use. You can use any recording buffer. I'm going to use 7 because it associates with track 7 in my mind, because they both have 7s. So hold yes to arm that recorder trig. Here we go. Let's make a loop. So we're already in a place where we're listening to incoming audio using our Digitone. We're sending it clock with our Octatrack. And now we have a looper scene, which did not go... Oh, because I didn't put a playback trig down yet. So, okay. So my playback trig's here. You can see it's playing. That's what the arrow means. Yay! Wonderful, right? That was it. That's the whole tutorial for creating live looping on your Octatrack. You're welcome. In case you wanted to go through a whole tutorial just now. I did it anyway. What? Didn't know function plus trig for one shot. Yeah. Watch this when I'm not high. Go back and watch it when you're not high. Yeah, dude. Dude. Okay. So we have our recorder. So now we can make a cool scene. Let's make the 1/5 down scene just for fun. Let's go to the source and turn this down to 48. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. You have to copy this one. So copy this scene, go over here, paste this scene, and then we're going to turn it down here. God, it's such a good sound. And it will sync up perfectly. Well, not so perfectly with that melody, actually. But with 4 on the floor content, it does really well. Okay, so this little bass line sound, I wonder if it's coming from... No, it's not. So I have chords playing here. All right. Is this the sound? It is, okay. Are they all parameter locked? Let's go over here to these minor offsets and see. No, neither one of these do anything good. That's the thing about FM synthesis. That's kind of cool. Is it's mostly exploration. It's like more exploration than analog synthesis because of the algorithms and the way FM works. Like inside an operator is you have an oscillator, right? And you have these multiple operators and they can do several things, right? So these oscillators, they have like VCAs basically. They have envelopes that are saying, that's using an envelope to say how much of that oscillator modulates another operator or modulates itself. And it keeps, and the Digitone it does use the C operator as its fundamental pitch, right? So when you change your C operator, when you modulate your C operator too much, you go out of normal pitch. Like you'll lose your fundamental. But you can hear it, like it changes the pitch really quickly. So right now in this algorithm here, A is being fed into C, B is modulating itself, so it's doing feedback. You can turn your feedback up here with this knob. You can see it highlights B. Kind of a nice sound. Using the harmonics is really good. So this kind of sounds like a square wave, even though the harmonics thing doesn't really look like it's making that. So even the harmonics looks like a square wave now. Okay, this is why all my bass is gone. Actually really like that little sound, so I'm gonna throw some kicks down. Drum kicks. None of those, that's for sure. It's gotta be a softer kick. I have my kicks in my Digitac, or that's where my kicks are at. Yeah. That's kinda nice. Let's use that one. Might even filter that a little bit. I usually use my bassline track on track 1 when I'm using the Digitone. And if I keep things in the order of operations that I usually do, then I can't screw up as much when I'm playing live. I'm like, I always know track 1's a bass line. Right now, that's not the case. So I'm actually going to copy this track sound and move it to track 3, paste that track sound, and then I'm going to go over here and copy the track itself and go here and paste it. So now I have that sequence over here, and then I'm just going to copy this, paste it over here. So now this is how I would like it set up. Now I'm going to create a scene here where I'm going to low pass my drum. I only have one drum. Did I put it on here? Okay, copy. I'm going to put it here. Okay. So I'm going to low pass my one drum that I have so far with this scene. Maybe we'll actually give this a bunch of reverb or something. So let's go over to our through track, double press FX2. Or do I need this delay? Delays are so powerful for making different effects, I have to remember. No. We're gonna do, we'll start with a reverb. If we need to change it, we'll change it later. Send this to send. Turn the pre up, like way up. Turn the time up. Let's bring it to like 96. Just low pass it slightly. Okay. I'm gonna make it so these chords kind of like move around. They're happening on the first beat of every bar. Just pan them over to the left here, like not all the way, but do that the opposite on each one. I'm gonna give some space in your mix and make this music sound a little more entertaining for how stale and simple it is at the moment. I'm gonna throw down hi-hats on here. Right now it's gonna sound like kicks. Let's go ahead and stop that. Let's grab a hi-hat, see if there's one in here I like. Oh, this is actually a great sound for this kind of music right now. Is it? Maybe. So if you turn the hold all the way down on your samples in your Octatrack and you play with your release, it kind of works. You're doing stuff like this. It's like to throw like... Maybe not have that happen all the time. So I hold it down, I press the right arrow to go into your trig conditions and micro timing. Let's have this happen only on the every second beat. So I want some melodic content here. Is the Digitone set up to receive notes? Yes, it is. Okay. Channel 1 is MIDI channel 5. So if I want to do melodic stuff on track 2, we want it to be on track 6. So 6. There we go. So now I can use my key step. We could go into our Digitone and go to our track setup and let's change what the velocity mod does, or change what the modulation wheel does. So we can turn it up with our finger here on our key step. You probably can't see that. I'm using my key step now. So this is me changing the modulation wheel on my key step. Right, so let's turn it all the way up so that we can play with some parameters. Let's see what the modulation wheel does to the waveform. Or try something else. Maybe change the LFO speed. Have like to do a portamento, to do a vibrato, you don't want to go like too high up on this. You want the depth to be in the decimal points, like below 20. It's like kind of a nice Boards of Canada kind of sound. I actually like the way it is right now. Let's have it reset with every trigger of a note. Okay. So back to the track trick setup here. have something do something with the velocity function, trig, go back in here. Let's play with the velocity. Let's make it do something. Velocity mod. So let's set full velocity. Let's make this sound a little bit like a little different first. Op6 is nuts. So yeah, WaveStation, and like just to talk about that for a second. Op6 is so cool, and people are unaware of it, how good it is. I'm glad you brought that up. And it does way more than just FM. You're right. Op6 is just a dope digital synthesizer, and it has 6 operators of FM. It has a ton of filters, but it doesn't just have sine waves as inside the operators. It has that's like 32 waveforms. So it's a pretty crazy sounding synthesizer, and it's similar build to the Korg WaveState. And the WaveState and me don't get along super well. It's just a weird synth to me. I haven't vibed with it super strongly, but I have with the Op6, and they are similar. I think the Op6 sounds really good. So that's my plug for the Op6. Check it out if you haven't. It's a really cool synth, and it isn't cheap. But it's roughly the same price as the Digitone, and it sounds, it might sound better than the Digitone in terms of being just a synthesizer, because it's just more capable of a synth. But the Digitone, of course, has what it has. It has an Elektron sequencer. Kind of feel like there's an Op6 SE in the works. Oh, that would be cool. Insert why not both, yeah. Yeah, I think the answer to why not both is in your bank account and or in the room that you're in. If your room is big enough to have an Op6, that's, you know what I mean? To have more synths. I feel like I can't have too many synthesizers. I have too many. The answer is I have too many. And they don't all get used. I don't know about you. If you get this feeling, like I get this kind of like crappy feeling when I have like really cool pieces of gear and they're just sitting there not being used, and I'm like using the same stuff over and over again. I'm always using my Octatrack, and at least one case of my modular I've used pretty often. But I have another whole, like, how much? A lot. I have a lot more modular that I'm not using. And I start feeling guilty about it. Like I have the whole mannequin system. And I said this last stream, anybody who has a Prophet X, you want to trade your mannequins, my mannequin stuff for your Prophet X? That's what I want. Life is too short for synth guilt. Thank you, Synth Division. You're right. Life is too short. Okay. Moving on. All right. So we have this cool modulation thing set up here. But we can use with our Digitone some bassline actually. Sounds really nice. Let's do the high pass filter on the drums first. Oh wait, we still haven't done this, so let's high pass these hi-hats, or low pass them. Are they seriously already low pass? This is the kind of music that I really like to write, actually. I would like to get some vocals in it. I like to do my own vocals for my songs, or at least somebody I like to make all my samples, unless it's drums. And then I try to make them too, but drum samples can be really hard. Like, you're just like, I just need a drum right now. I need like 15 different hi-hats, and I don't have time to synthesize 15 hi-hats. I just grab a bunch and throw them in. feel like I want like an arpeggiation over here. So this would be on MIDI channel 7. Right, it's in a chord mode. So let's do MIDI channel 8. So what's cool is you can like hold down a step and then go. Well, it's supposed to do that. Let's just go like this. Another cool way of making bass lines. I realized this, and I'm sure a lot of people have realized this over time. It's not my novel idea here, but a cool way to make bass lines, for instance, just to show you. So I'll turn off this bass line and go over here, and you just use the arpeggiator. So turn our arpeggiator on, doesn't matter what mode. We'll just leave it at, we want the speed to be at, 16. So we want it to be 16th notes. And then you could just put down a step. First, let's copy over this track sound. Okay, so then I'll just put down one step, and I'll turn the length of this step up to 16. And now it will just arpeggiate whatever note this is. Well, it's supposed to. What are the notes? Okay. What note are we going to put in here? If we hold this and hit hold record and hit stop, we can go into step edit mode. So we can just hold function and find the octave we want to use and put that in. All right, now we'll make this. Make this step 16 steps long. So now we're doing it in the correct order here. All right, so the note's just playing out. Now we're going to turn on the arpeggiator again because I have to redo it. So now we can go back into the arpeggiator and just turn steps off. We're just using the arpeggiator to come up with rhythms. You can make it go up. You could actually write your whole pattern right here. If you could make it to that step, which you can't, because it's just too short. So let's make this 16. So we could go like this and turn that down. Find a different note. So this is a cool way to make bass lines or any sort of melody. We'll use this actually. That's nice. Makes it really easy rather than plugging in a whole bunch of steps and then changing what notes they are. You just go in, it's already laid out right there, and you just play with it. Turn our bass line back on. Let's make this one sound a little different. Let's actually use this bass width filter here. Take the low end content out because we don't need it to do the low end. We have the bass line for that. have a low pass filter so far with a little bit of reverb. We could record that. Arm track 7, yes, to record. Let's check it out. It's doing its thing, Sounding good, looking good, sounding good, Octatrack. Never disappoint. Switch over to that recording. Okay, so now we can kind of like, let's do a control all thing. We can't even hear what's happening here, but let's just do it anyway. Change the algorithm, let's turn this up, and then let's fade over to that. Here we go. That's whack. But it's not awful. And now we can fade back over to that version. This is my workflow. This is literally how I will write music. Is I'll just be performing and writing and performing and writing, and as soon as it starts feeling really good, I'm like, all right, this is gonna stay. I feel like this little part over here needs some reverb. Let's edit our reverb. Actually, it's already been edited. Oh. Ping pong delay. Turn up the feedback on the delay. Let's get a little delay too. Yes, Octatrack can control the pattern of the Digitone. Okay. It's going to. The way it's set up, that's how I'm gonna have this do it. I might not have it do it. Actually, I might switch it over to have the Digitone do it, but it doesn't matter. Either one's gonna be fine. They work perfectly together. If I have Jeremy's sample pack, I don't have Jeremy's sample pack. Give me your sample pack, Jeremy. I probably wouldn't end up using it, honestly. I don't really end up using other people's stuff, other sample packs that much. Not because I don't think they're great. They're great. It's not that. I just want to use my synthesizers, you know? So I end up not like chewing on other sample packs too much. I think we need more effects. Let's go ahead and let's build the sidechain pumping effect because it would probably sound good with this kind of music. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use an LFO in the filter. So I have one called pump. We're gonna use it on a through track. We're gonna use it on the filter in the neighbor track because we want it to be in post. We want it to be the last thing. So let's go ahead and go into record mode, hold function, put down some trigless locks, and turn those trigless locks into trigless trigs by holding them and pressing no. These trigless locks will now engage envelopes and reset LFOs. And this is really important for making this effect. So now we're gonna go into our LFO, and I'm gonna double press LFO to design it. Oh, this reminds me, there's something I wanted to do today. We'll do that too. We'll make another effect. So let's do this first. So set the source to your filter width, change the envelope to an inverted exponential wave, set the multiplier to 4, and change this to trig 1. Trig 1 means that when these trigless trigs engage, it will cycle one time. So it acts as a true envelope, and that's what we want. So it should work now when I create a scene here. So let's hold down B and set this to the envelope depth all the way. There it is. Perfect. Now, if we had some melodic content to play over on top of this, we could use another track and throw something pretty on top of this. It would sound really good. So maybe we should do that. So what I was thinking about today was, you know, the app LFO Tool or Gatekeeper, was like, how could I emulate LFO Tool or Gatekeeper? And there is a way to do that. And it is with the filter once again and not the volume as much. So maybe with the pan and with the filter, we could kind of take a consistent sound like a chord stab or a chord pad that's just being held out, and then run it through this LFO that creates these like gated rhythm patterns. And I haven't done it like very well on the Octatrack yet because I've been thinking about it. But I want to do it. What's up, Jordan? Jordan's my boy. So I kind of want to play with that real fast. So let's create another scene. We'll use scene 5. And let's just go back into our LFO. And we're going to use the LFO Designer. This is the LFO Designer for scene 5, which, like the recording buffers, can be used on any one of your tracks. You can use the LFO designs. So we're going to use the Designer. Anything below, anything below right here, so like this will bring it down, the level down into a negative, and that's all we want to use for the LFO Tool trick that we're going to make on the fly today. So I haven't done this yet, but we're going to make an LFO Tool kind of sound, which means that we're going to need triggers to reset, and we're going to need it to be very synced to the clock. And we also need it to do something cool. So maybe we should use it on track 2. So let's use track 2's LFO Tool, so to speak. And we'll use LFO 2. And we'll have this also go to the filter width. And this will be set to track 2's LFO, and set the filter to trig. Sync trig, and then let's play with this LFO tool. Let's see how it sounds when we start like taking stuff out. We have to turn up the depth for it. I'll turn up depth up here. So that's something. So we have these 3 steps, right? If we do this, it's already working. It's not moving fast enough for it to do all those steps that I'm making. Let's see how this sounds. Let's speed it up a little bit. This seems like the right speed, I think. So now let's play with it from here. So now we can actually use like this strange design. We can speed it up too and just see how it sounds too. Sound better at this when it was synced really well. So let's use this LFO and maybe have that play with the pan. No, we don't want to play with the pan that much. But we can make another one, use this same one with resonance. Let's try that. So we'll select track 2's LFO again. And let's set its depth up. Set its trig to sync. And then we'll send its source to, not all the way up, that's going to be too much for this. It's kind of cool. So let's lock this to the scene here. I feel like for it to sound as cool as like Gatekeeper does, it needs to go really fast. So let's try that. It sounds pretty crazy. I guess it's effective, but that sounds good. I like that. Okay. Okay. Let's do this high pass for the drums real quick. Depth is up. Get out of here. Can you squarify the LFO curves? Squarify? Yeah, you can make things. You can either have it be a curved line up to the next point, or it can be a square. And that's it. Those are your only options. And your resolution is 16 steps. So like you're really limited. It's like it can't do what I want it to do. But that was as close. This is as close as we can get it. It makes me think of Gatekeeper. It has that effect. We're on pattern 1 still. Let's get a snare of some sort, or like a clap. Oh, that's probably work. Sounds like it's stereo. Is that just me, or is that like a really stereo sounding sample? Not sounding bad. Alright, let's record it. And then let's save this. And then we'll switch over to the recorded version and we'll mess with this and get a new variation. Okay, let's control all stuff. Just a little bit, like not too crazy. Mixes here. And then let's check it out. chord. That chord sounds like it was the wrong move. I think you have to play around a lot to get it to sound musical. Yeah, I think you're right. With the drawing LFO, you're right. I agree with that. Okay, really leaving out or by 10th division. Just want to say thanks for the stream. Always fun to watch a pro at work. Oh, well, thanks for calling me a pro. That was super kind. Yeah, let's keep working on our jam. I think, like, I don't know about you, but this chord will mute it. You know that the Digitac and the Digitone actually have solo functions. You can solo tracks, but it's not available without a MIDI controller. So it can receive a CC message that says solo, but you can't actually do it on the device. And you can actually do it on your Octatrack. If you're in the mix menu and you use Q to these, this is how you solo on the Octatrack. If you didn't know, that's solos tracks. Here's solo the kick. Kick and hi-hats. Cool, right? Okay, anyway. So let's go back over here. And I gotta find this note I don't like. Maybe we just need to put it in another chord with it. Whoa, what am I doing? See how they were placed in the middle of the sequence? If you want them to start at 1, hold while you're in step record mode, hold function and use the arrows here. Now I'm lined up. Cool tip. Let's record this. It's a nice sound. Okay, let's perform our song that we wrote together. Okay, here we go. We don't have any cool effects, really. We have a low pass, high pass filter. We don't even have a master low pass filter. Let's design that real fast. Let's do the high pass real fast. Might get too quiet. on in mute mode here. This pattern mutes the purple ones. So we can like do a little... It's bringing in some reverb on our synthesizer, which is the Digitone, and it's low passing our percussion, which is just a kick drum at the moment. But now we have a moment. There's an anticipation created here. Let's use it to bring in a new element. Actually, hold on a second. Well, we're gonna have to use this mute mode, unfortunately. Okay. We'll just go to this next track. I'm sorry, I don't want to do that one. That's one that you add later. I should have put that on track 3. Let's go to these chords. Yes, this was the move. Take this kick out. Bring these in it together. This clap roll, put the 4 steps down, press the right arrow, make these fills, copy that fill, paste it here, it'll paste 4, paste it here, it'll paste 4, 4, 4, so it filled it up, and then go here. Now I can do snare rolls, which are very effective with this low pass filter, especially with this low pass filter, where I let the synth keep playing. Whoa, hey buddy, let's low pass this. So let's copy the whole thing. Let's copy this pattern, which is called pattern 4. Let's go to pattern 1 and paste it. So now let's copy it again, and we'll paste it on pattern 2. Now we're going to change it. So pattern 2. Good. So these are synced. This is changing patterns on here. That's the right one. Okay, anyway. So now it brought me back to that bank, because now it's actually set up correctly. Total pain in the ass here. What bank were we on? What bank was I writing this stuff in? Oh, bank 3. Okay. So let's copy this whole bank. Let's copy this pattern. Well, it's only one pattern, so we'll just copy the pattern and go to bank 3, paste it. So bank 3, pattern 1. Oh, that wasn't the right bank. It's bank 5. Bank 14. Now I have to find where I was writing this music. What an absolute pain. Where was I writing it? I have no idea where I had my pattern I just wrote it, because I was doing this all with the wrong patterns going. Why do I do this to myself? I should have started a new project over here when I did this. Is that the one? Oh, that's it. What bank are we in? Bank 4. I found it. I can't be defeated. Okay. So copy this pattern, bank 4, pattern 1, paste. What is this? You know what I did that's just so wonderful? Is was I didn't save my parts. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We were here for all of the good stuff, and we wrote a pattern. We talked about the workflow with the Digitone. We went over the modular stuff. I'll just leave in that I forgot to save my part, and that that's just the way it is. That we're just gonna have to be done at this point, because I am not going to troubleshoot any longer. I've already been playing music now for a couple hours. But yeah. Yeah. Well, it happens, Jordan. It happens. Nobody wants to watch that what is it? Yeah, I mean, I don't even have my through track anymore. Oh, there it is. So what's that all about? Maybe we're not dead. Maybe we're not dead in the water. We'll copy it. We'll go here to here and paste it. Why in God's name does it not want to go to bank 4? Let's just take this one. That's so bizarre to me. Let's go ahead and save all these parts. Okay, you dirty part saver. Copy, bank 4, pattern 1, paste pattern. Oh, it's because it's in a new bank. That's so stupid. So let's paste this part. All right, let's go to bank pattern 1, go to the part, copy our part, go to bank 4, part 1, go into our parts, and paste the part. Oh my God, why does it do that to us? Sometimes, literally that I just have to copy my parts over to the new bank, because of course when you go into a bank you get 4 new parts. It's like, you gotta keep all this stuff in mind. It's just insane. Anyway, we're back at it. I guess we're not done. So, unbelievable. So now let's go to pattern 2. Pattern 2. Which has no drums on it, but it has this pattern copied. So now we can kind of just like make some edits. Like Let's make this bass line a little bit crazier. Maybe add a new note to it. I like that one. Let's go down an octave. I can hold this note, hit function as well, and then go like this. I brought it down a whole octave. Another cool trick. On this one. Let's go into our kick section here. Let's get back with our 4 kicks, but let's kind of like add some but we're gonna take them down in volume and pan them so they're like toms. Let's make these hats kind of like, we'll make them run a bit. Open the volume, the release on a couple. On the 3711, give it that nice little techno hats. Let's go back to pattern 1 and just steal this snare track and bring it over with us. And paste it. But we'll kind of like maybe, yeah, let's make this kind of a ghost note. Let's make this one snare roll again. Okay. Maybe we want to like tune these drums a little bit differently. Bring them down 3 semitones or something. I'm gonna bring this down in the sequence. This one's obnoxious to me now. So there's pattern 2. Y'all thought I was done, but I recovered. I recovered that fumbled ball, and now I'm scoring touchdowns. Sports pun for the day. I don't do sports, so if that landed, another pun. That was a pro save. Isn't that wonderful? Did you copy the part to the new bank? Somebody said it. And yes, I did. That's what I did. That was my problem. I forgot. I had to copy my part to my new bank. I forgot that. And now it's done. Let's hear how it sounds. Nice. Alright, let's make this like Daft Punk effect here. Let's go ahead and turn this delay on the input of the through track into a freeze delay. We'll use the tape, we'll use it on turn lock on, and now just turn the send up. I like to turn the send all the way up. Let's go over here and we'll lock the time to its maximum value. And right now we'll have we actually want to do it on the whole thing. We want to do it on the master. So let's go over here and turn this into a freeze delay real quick. Turn lock on, turn send all the way up. Or bring it send all the way up and lock it all the way down. That's what I meant to do over here too. With this was lock it at 0. We also got to turn the feedback all the way up on both of them. Now we also want to filter them. So let's use we can use both filters, fortunately. So let's filter this. So it's like, we'll go like to here. Oh, that's nice. Let's filter it again though. And then for the drums, we'll filter it. That to change between our patterns. So we'll go. Let's go to pattern 2. And now we're back over here. Or pattern 1 and pattern 2, I mean. What's a good one to have it on? I like having it on the hi-hats. You don't want to use too much of the amplitude there. I feel like having like a spring reverb on your snare is a good move. I'm sorry. Do I want to play reverb? Yeah, we want to play reverb, so we want to use the gate. It's such a cool effect. It like completely changes your sound, you know? So this is our lo-fi-esque stuff. It's a good enough sounding scene. Let's go to pattern mutes. Let's go and record. This is how long? 2.5 hours? Holy shizzle. Yes. Isn't that awesome? I love doing that. And bringing it down, like modulating it down a bit. It's like when you're a kid waiting for your friend to come over and you're just like staring out the window, like watching cars, and then they show up and you're like, we're gonna play Bond on Nintendo. Single cycle waveform, CCWF. Yeah. The basics. Sawtooth, sine wave, square, and triangle. Let's grab a sawtooth. Whoa. Do this on track 6. Okay, let's turn this slope tone on. Go to the chromatic board. Nuts! That's because the amp won't blow. Oh, great. Great. I don't want the Octatrack to send notes. Let's get this, maybe track 6. Let's turn that to another number that doesn't matter. That'll be fine. Thought I'll do. Ha! I win. I win, Octatrack. Me. Alright, let's use the filter. Depth. Go up an octave, hold function, press the right arrow. Actually sounds pretty good. It's because the filter sounds so good on the Octatrack. You know, something, you can make acid with single cycle waveforms in the Octatrack really well because the distortion in the filter is so good. Check this out. It does, it gets a little wet filter. Anyway, we're not going to do that, because that's crazy. Doop-a-doop-a-doop. Sounds like I was about to do the Seinfeld theme song. Getting carried away. I wish I could go up more octaves. You could try and make this wave, you could just do half the size of the waveform, I guess. I don't know. I guess it's better with one-shot stabs if you want to go up higher. So we could, instead of doing single cycle waveform, we could actually go back into our little sample pack thing and get, oh, not chords. Not chords, I said, one-shot samples. Just give me a pluck. For God's sake. Ah, that'll do. Wait. Yeah. There we go. Okay. So now I can have this sidechain pumping thing going. the sample really sounded like? Where did I put the recorder tray? All over the place. I made copies of them everywhere. Okay. Classic. Nice. Okay, here we go. We're in the recorded version. Perform it and then we'll be done. Okay. I need to be done. Bring in these chords. Let's record like a wacky version of this. Here we go. So I'm gonna go around. Now we can go. Pattern, and it's going to go over to the next pattern. Let's mute this stuff and start with This is the longest video ever. It's got all sorts of cool stuff. What did we cover? Essential items in your modular system. Workflow on the Digitone. Lots of little tips and tricks. We built some scenes. We built a new project in the Octatrack. We debugged things live, which is a pain in the ass. And we remembered to save our parts and to carry your parts over from one bank to another if you're copying banks. And we talked about utility modules and nerd sequencer, lots of nerd sequencer. And we wrote some music and we talked about performance quite a bit. We did a lot. It was 2.5 hours. Thank you all for hanging out. I'm going to leave this video on YouTube for everyone to watch or rewatch or do whatever you'd like with it. Hope you enjoyed the music. Catch me next week. And you're wonderful. And don't forget to buy LaCroix. Think of me, LaCroix. Send me free LaCroix. Blessings.